All right, so you know how we do these deep dives, right? Well, this one you guys sent in something really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, this piece, it's called Heart. And at first glance, I mean, it's, you know, the language is pretty simple, but there's like this,
There's a lot there.
there's a lot, there's a real depth of emotion here, right?
Absolutely. It's like raw and exposed.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I was thinking about this too, like the title itself, Heart.
Mm.
Is that like a literal heart or is it?
Right away, that's where my mind went too. Is this a literal heart or what is this
Yeah,
representing?
exactly. And that repeating line, I miss my heart. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like that just hits you hard.
It does. And, that's a literary technique called anaphora, where you repeat a phrase like that, and it just really emphasizes that raw emotion, and it's like this steady drumbeat of pain
Yeah.
throughout the entire piece.
Throughout the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So just right off the bat, what was your first impression like when you read it? What just kind of jumped out at you?
Well, like I was saying, the ambiguity of heart is what I noticed first.
Mm-hmm.
Is it literal or is it a metaphor for something else? And then I saw the line, I think it went with someone else.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes me think maybe it's a metaphorical heart, maybe a lost love or a broken relationship.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. And like I was saying, it's like a puzzle trying to figure out what this heart is, right? And then like later on, there's that detail about waiting after school.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm picturing like someone young,
Yeah.
like maybe even a student.
Makes it even more heartbreaking, I think.
Yes, and it makes that heartbreak feel even more raw and vulnerable.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah, and then if you go a little bit further, there's that line that says, "They say I am crazy and I know it,"
Yeah.
which I thought was really interesting because it's almost like a defense mechanism.
Mhm.
It's like pushing back against anyone who tries to dismiss their pain.
Yeah.
Like they're really trying to say, like, no, you don't understand what I'm going through.
Right.
And then it's followed by the line, "Try living without a heart. Then we'll discuss your pain and mine."
Yeah.
It's like a challenge to anyone
Who
who
wants to understand.
who wants to try to understand their pain.
Right, like you haven't lived through this.
Exactly.
So you don't know what it's like.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like they feel so isolated.
Very isolated, yeah.
Like no one can truly understand the depth of what they're going through.
Right.
And then there's this other thing that I thought was really interesting, like almost unexpected. And that's that the writer mentions namaste.
Mm-hmm. That is interesting.
And they even admit to not knowing what it means, but they find like comfort in just saying the word.
That's so human, though, isn't it? Like we look for those little comforts.
We do.
Those rituals, familiar words or actions, even if we don't really know what they mean.
Right?
It's like grasping onto anything that offers a little bit of peace.
Yeah, and it's like you really get that sense of Greece, like that classic like push and pull of grief in this piece.
Yeah.
Like notice how it circles back to that feeling of loss.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's the lines about crying and complaining every day, and then bam, it's back to I miss my heart.
It's like they're stuck
Yeah.
in this loop of heartache.
And there's just like no escaping it.
Right. And then I was going to say what gets me is how abruptly it ends.
Oh, yeah.
Like they just say, I think that's just it. I don't know what else to say.
It's like they're exhausted, right?
Completely.
Like they've hit a wall and they just can't.
Can't articulate their pain anymore.
Yeah, they've got nothing left.
Mm-hmm.
But even in that ending, like that abrupt ending, there's this little sliver of hope, don't you think?
I can see that. Yeah.
Like maybe someday they will find the words,
Yeah.
to say what you're feeling.
Yeah, it's open-ended. And that's kind of what grief is like, isn't it? Like unresolved.
Yeah.
It just keeps going.
Ongoing. Yeah, so we've talked about the heartbreak. But what if this heart isn't literal?
Right.
What could it be? Like what
Yeah.
could it symbolize?
Oh, I don't know. It could be a lot of things. Maybe it's the lost dream. Maybe a piece of their childhood.
Yeah.
Maybe it's even like a sense of purpose they've lost.
Right. And that's what I love about it,
It's open to interpretation.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could be anything, right? It means something different to everyone.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's definitely something to think about.
A lot to unpack there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So that was Heart. And wow, that was a powerful one.
It was.
But, keep sending those in, folks. We'd love to do these deep dives for you. And yeah, until next time.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening.